Okay, Chairman, of course. So have you seen the reports about the accused squatter in DC and the situation with the homeowner?
I've seen some of the reports. I think it's pretty shocking what they've revealed.
I know at hand is the kind of question of landlord versus tenant and that relationship and whether it exists here or not. What are your thoughts as it relates to some of the questions when it comes to DC housing and tenant rights and landlord rights, homeowner rights as it relates to this situation?
Well, the allegations, I assume the allegations are true. To me, the pattern is what is striking to me. And I can't help but think that there is some criminal conduct here.
I know the discussion about when tenancy is established and the rights that that individual gets. What are your thoughts, or do you think there's a possibility to possibly reevaluate how that's described in the district?
Well, traditionally we look at the landlord-tenant relationship in the context of first of all, civil issue, and that it is a contract between the landlord and the tenant. To me, it's this pattern. It's not just one situation, but the fact that the allegations are situation after situation, apartment building after apartment building. To me, it seems that there's intent, and that's why I have said I think that it's more than just the traditional landlord-tenant situation. It's more than just a civil matter. I can't help but think that there's some criminal implications.
Do you imagine that what's being revealed in the reports and the pattern that's been shown could possibly inspire some changes as it relates to tenant and landlords in the district?
Well, I'm certainly willing to look at the law. I don't know that it's so much the landlord-tenant law that's at issue here.
What do you think is the main issue here? The pattern, or some of the programs or laws that have, I don't want to say allowed this, but allowed the check of the situation to be delayed?
I'm not so sure I would say that the laws have allowed this. Mm-hmm. I think this conduct is inappropriate. I don't think there's any way to say that this conduct is permissible. And based on what I saw in the allegations, I think there's an intentional, how do I put this? I want to say an intentional intent. The allegations are an intent to get of value the rental housing, and I say rental, and I don't mean necessarily in the traditional landlord-tenant situation, but to get of value a housing without paying for it, and doing it repeatedly.
Was there anything I did not ask you that you did want to say as it relates to the situation? I know housing in the district has been a hot conversation for a long time. I know I spoke to an attorney who says this concerns him because things like this and people using this intent scares away some of the housing that we do need in the district. Is that something you agree with?
If I'm understanding your question, I think that a story like this, and that's not to criticize you're doing the story, but rather when something like this happens, it probably does scare some folks about making their property available to somebody, whether it's to a short-term rental, not rental, what do you call it?
Airbnb?
Yeah, but I don't want to say Airbnb. Short-term.
They called it short-term rental when you guys did the
Is it called short-term rental? Yeah, okay. Now I forget what I was going to say.
That hearing stories and situations like
yeah,
this.
hearing a story like this, being aware of a situation like this, has got to scare some individuals, especially individuals, not companies, who are at the greatest risk because they have the least resources to protect themselves. Why would they want to do a short-term rental or be a traditional landlord-tenant when they could get stuck? And that's very unfortunate.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I hope that was helpful.
Now make sure you